right? So,
Good evening. This is the, excuse me, Finance Committee meeting of April 23rd, and we'll be discussing a joint meeting with Board of Selectmen to review the 2018 audit report. Nick Lawler from the Water Department will be joining us to discuss warrant Article 18 of the annual town meeting, the Whitcomb Ave land use. And he's on his way, so we'll see him in a little while. And the ever-popular public input, seeing no public out there, that's likely to be a short discussion. And then member input, and during that time, I'd just like to quickly walk through the warrant and see if there are any articles that any members of the Fincom want to talk to. And if not, I'll cover them with Gary, but if there are any that anybody wants to talk to, we can assign them. And then minutes, Marilyn won't be here tonight, so we won't have minutes from last meeting to talk about. And then the ever-popular motion to adjourn. So waiting for Nick to show up, I just wanted to get the feeling of the board on joining the selectmen at the May 13th selectmen's meeting. We could post it as a joint meeting and review the 2018 audit report. Traditionally, Bonnie would bring the auditor in here. The Finance Committee, we would review it, and he would then go to the selectmen and review it again. To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to bring him in twice to go through it. I personally don't mind, going to the selectmen's meeting for a joint meeting on it, but I didn't want to agree to that without discussing it in open meeting. So if anybody has any feelings on it one way or another, let's talk about it and then decide which way we want to go.
I'm okay with it. I think that the difference was when he's there addressing us, he presents it differently than when he's talking to the Board of Selectmen. There's just a different level of detail and different focus on it. But there's no reason he still can't do to the Board of Selectmen. We just have to pay more attention and ask questions and get him to go where we want. So I think that's fine.
As long as,
That would be my opinion.
I agree.
Alan, you okay with it? Okay. Tom, you're okay with it?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm putting it in my calendar.
Okay, great. So I will go ahead and ask Diane to post us for a joint meeting with the selectmen on the 13th, and I will also request that it's early on the agenda so that we don't have to go through the whole meeting to review the audit report. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and do that. Welcome, gentlemen. We have...
A little late?
No problem. We have Nick Lawler and Jim Carr here to discuss the annual town meeting Article 18 as it would impact the Water Department's project of the new well and treatment facility. So, gentlemen, come on up and...
Thanks for your time tonight. So I'm going to let Nick get into details of everything, but just so the committee understands, we've had very positive votes at annual town meeting for the support of the plant, transfer of the land, and all that. So Nick will get into the specifics in regards to the citizens petition, but...
Okay. And Jim, while you're... I assume the water commissioners have voted to take a position on this already?
We have, non-support.
Okay, non-support
Unanimous.
of 18, okay.
I think the letter is from the chairman of the board, right?
Yep, correct, yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so you should have received a letter from Dick Taylor, who's our chairman. This has been a project that's probably been about maybe 18 months in the making, the Whitcomb Ave treatment plant. We work closely with the Fincom, with the Board of Selectmen, with our own obviously internal boards. When we got to the planning board level, that's when the abutters started to raise some concerns.
We worked with the abutters on those concerns as well, tried additional screening and other things that we could do. And the planning board supported the project 100% unanimously. Article 18 has a negative impact on this project. It won't allow us to build the plant as proposed. They're trying to change 5 parcels of land that were acquired by the water commissioners for water department purposes and aquifer protection and make them conservation land. So we won't be able to build there. That impacts us both from the plant perspective. It's gonna cost about $1 million more to build that plant somewhere else.
How much?
$1 million. And there's a potential, so that land was acquired through a grant program back in the 80s. That grant program was for aquifer protection. So now if you're gonna change that deed and make it conservation, we'd probably have to pay that grant back, which was $500,000. So the financial impact of Article 18 is about $1.5 million if it was to pass. The Board of Water Commissioners have voted to not support it. The Board of Selectmen have voted not to support it. The Board of Conservation Commissioners have voted not to support it. Because the work that the board is committed to do was to restore the old highway department parcel
Right.
in exchange. So the Conservation Commission saw that as a huge benefit, because that's directly in Zone 1, that's wetland protection area, it's animal habitat area. We're gonna restore that, remove the highway building, rip off pavement. So the Conservation Commission recognizes that what we're trying to do is for the betterment of not just the town and the ratepayers, but also the environment. It's really a no-brainer. But unfortunately, there's some abutters that don't like it, because it's, just.
And not many, I mean, there are a few. I mean,
Few.
Yeah, there's a few. And as Nick was saying, that, you all know about that highway department and that building, has been condemned for how many years? And how many years have we been talking about to raise that building and tear it down and, to get rid of it? So here we are trying to do the right thing.
right.
Yeah, the Board of Water Commissioners has committed to removing that building,
Right.
as we talked about a couple meetings ago when I was here.
So what buildings will remain on the old site? Will the old?
So if you look at that old well site,
Yep.
there's a garage on the left that's in good standing condition. That's a water department garage. That will remain. There's the original well house, the brick
Right.
building, that remains. It's the dilapidated highway garage that gets removed.
So what will,
And then-
what will the 19, I think it's the 1912 building, right? They call
That
it.
remains, yep.
What will that be used for?
It gets used as almost like a pump house, really. The 2 wells will be manifolded, brought into that
Right.
facility.
Okay.
And then from that facility, will be sent across the street.
Send across to the treatment
plant,
facility?
yeah.
Okay, yep. Okay, great.
Now, if memory serves from your map that you included, there was some mitigation on, I guess, the parcel with the garage?
Yep.
So what constitutes the mitigation? Are you going to plant wetland plants?
Yep, yeah, so our staff work closely with the Conservation Commission on that. That's removing the building, that's ripping up impervious pavement materials. So that's another important factor. The land that we're building the plant on is gonna remain 100% groundwater being returned to the aquifer through, basins and stuff like that. So we're not, all that groundwater still gets returned. And then we restore 22,000 square feet of land across the street where Zone 1 is. So, this is the best overall project for the environment. So, yeah, there's a lot of pavement that's getting ripped up there, a lot of pavement we haven't used for 20 years, 20, 30 years.
Okay.
Isn't there asbestos or something in that building that's getting torn down as well?
Yep,
So we're getting rid of that as well, right?
asbestos, lead,
So the plus column's pretty long here.
yeah. I don't know if there's anything in the minus column, to tell you the truth.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
No, I think it's great that the Conservation Commission is on your side on this. Means having that old site, basically turned back, if you will, closer to its natural state.
Yeah, and it's not just local
River.
boards that are on our side. The state, the DEP, and the EEA, Environmental and Energy Affairs, are on our side as well.
Okay,
This has been a process that we worked out with multiple agencies. So this Article 18 will throw a huge monkey wrench in our plans.
okay.
And it's not to I mean, Zone 1 and Zone 2 aquifer protection is, I mean, that's where they're looking at, that's where their focus is on, and, you know, it just
And that's
makes,
the 100 and 400-foot radius.
Well, Zone 1's a 400-foot radius.
Okay, okay.
Zone 2 is,
well, we're building the
Large area.
building, the new treatment plant in Zone 2.
Okay, so
And
it's,
we're returning all that, Zone 1 back to its natural state,
State,
that's
right.
huge.
for them, as for
Yes.
all of
yeah,
us.
for the state,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. Okay,
And what's the land area for that Zone 1?
2.7 acres?
Yeah, so the parcel that the highway department transferred to us was 2.75 acres.
Okay. That's substantial.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the building is what?
7,000 square, yeah.
feet.
So that's another key factor that gets overlooked, that the building itself is only 7,000 square feet, sitting on 2.5 acres of land. It's
Where
not-
will it sit? Right in the middle?
Pretty much. So originally, we planned it was sitting closer to the other field, so Sanderson's on a field out there as well. And as part of the planning board process, we moved it closer to the VFW, which is industrial. So we moved away from residential zoning over to the industrial zone.
okay.
The planning board voted unanimously for this project as well.
And how many abutters are there?
There's 3 abutters that aren't happy with the project. Probably, I mean, it's really only, what do you consider an abutter? I mean, it's really one abutter. There's a couple across the street. but-
Oh.
These wells are like 45% of the town's water.
Yeah.
So it's significant. This
No,
is-
And the only wells that are untreated, right?
It's not
Correct,
treated, so, I mean, like Betsy says, the positive list just keeps getting longer on this project, so.
Yeah,
So actually, you flush the system because it's not treated, so those costs will pretty much
in theory.
go away.
We'll see.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so those pipes have been there for 100 years. There's tuberculation and stuff built on those pipes that are gonna take a long time to clean out and scour, so. Yes, in theory, we no longer have to flush. I'll believe it when I see it. I think flushing is always gonna be part of our maintenance. It should get, every year it should get better and better and better, and less disruption.
And we've had residents come in and say, hey, you know, our water's horrible,
Right.
and we live on Wickham Ave. You know,
Well,
please don't delay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. We've never had a resident come to a Board of Water Commissioners meeting saying, please don't do this project that has negative impact. We've had the opposite. We've had residents time and time again say, please put a treatment plant at Wickham Ave. This is something the town wants and needs and deserves.
Right.
In this Article 18 puts that in jeopardy.
Okay.
Protecting the water supply is very important, obviously, and it'd have to be something, a really strong reason, I would think, to go against anything that would impact that.
Right.
My opinion.
Okay.
What's the abutter's problem with, is it, building's gonna be unsightly?
I mean, I guess you'd have to have the abutters to answer that question, but,
Well, but you must have heard them talking about it, so I
I
have
don't
not.
want any building built
yeah, I think,
to a certain extent at all.
I think they feel that land shouldn't be built on.
Okay.
But I'll reiterate, that land was acquired, it's deeded for water department purposes and aquifer protection, which is what we're doing.
Okay,
How long has this abutter lived there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sort of like the people that build houses next to the railroad track and then complain because the train makes too much noise, you know?
We were at the Board of Selectmen's meeting, and the discussion turned into, well, these are open meetings. We've had open meetings. This has been on our posted agenda, not just
18
once,
months, yeah.
twice, 3 times, for 18 months.
Yeah.
You know, Planning Board, Conservation, Conscom, Board of Selectmen,
Yep,
Finance Committee.
yep.
Yep.
So, I mean,
You're
you know,
absolutely
that's, you know, you gotta take it to the next level if you're serious, in my opinion.
Yep.
Right, well, democratic process, they're entitled to put the
Absolutely.
petition, and,
Yep,
and then you're
absolutely.
doing the right thing, you get the information,
Absolutely.
and then you'll have people vote, right?
That's what town meeting's all about.
So who's going to present your side of the story at town meeting?
So I got a meeting with Tim Goddard set up. I'd like to have a couple people present it, myself and also Corey Godfrey, who's our environmental analyst, because there's a process part of the project, but there's also an environmental part of the project. And I also want to ask Tim what other boards can speak to this, because I think the Conservation Commission, if they were allowed to speak at town meeting,
Anyone's allowed
Yeah,
to speak.
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, but formally,
You mean as a member of the board?
yeah.
That's a good question. I think whenever, I think,
As long as they're posted as a meeting, I don't think that'll be an issue.
Yeah.
You know, they're all town residents.
Yeah.
Speak as a resident.
Yep.
Well, not all town residents.
Well, the Conservation Commission is,
Yes, they are.
so.
Any other,
I just think it's very important to really emphasize the financial impact to everybody in town.
Yeah,
Ratepayers.
Yeah.
yeah. That's why we're here tonight.
no, absolutely, and,
hoping.
you know, hammer on the point that it's 45% of our water now, and you're looking to, will it be 45% with the increased flow, or is it 45% now, and it'll even potentially be more?
Yeah, I mean, it's half our water, roughly, give or
Okay.
take.
But that's,
But, you know, I get asked all the time, you know, do I get water from Wickham Ave? And what I would tell you is that if you live in Littleton,
You
at
get
some
it.
point, you drank water from Wickham Ave, you know, depending on what plants are on and stuff like that,
Sure,
so.
sure.
So this impacts every ratepayer in the community.
okay. All right.
Again, we're here to ask for a non-support for Article 18.
Yep, okay. Any other points or questions, concerns? Then I'd entertain a motion for the Finance Committee to take a position because of the financial impacts, if nothing else, that we vote a non-support of the.
Do not
citizen-
recommend.
We do not recommend Article 18, the citizens petition.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
I
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thank you.
and we'll pass that on to Anthony, so it'll be when Tim reads the article. The warrant only showed that
Yep.
wasn't, just, it's a
Yeah,
revised
what
warrant.
what got mailed to the public didn't show the Conservation Commission.
Correct.
Right,
Unfortunately.
so, you know, we'd have, make sure that,
Yep.
you know, that's in place, we're in place, planning board.
So I believe if you go to the town online version, it shows the Conservation Commission does not support.
Okay,
Are they going to be, well, this is the wrong group to ask, but usually at town meeting,
The addendum?
there's a little
Yeah.
insert.
I would assume they would do the same.
Yeah.
And this will require a ballot?
No.
Did you say?
Two-thirds.
Two-thirds.
two-thirds
Got it.
vote. And unless it's really close, or, then he would normally go to a hand count or then the ballot.
Yep.
Okay?
Great.
Well, thank you. for
Thank you all.
the support.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Go bees.
That's right.
Almost for tip-off.
See you later.
Take care. Thanks for coming in.
And Nick, thanks for your comments earlier when we talked about,
Oh, absolutely. Yep. Have a good night.
you too.
See ya.
Good night.
Okay, so we've covered the two major items I had tonight, other than, I just wanted to walk through the warrant, and if there's any article that anybody particularly wants to speak to, I'm more than happy to hand them off.
You mean if there's a question, because we don't normally speak to every article as they
Right,
come
no,
along.
no, if there's a question, who would like to answer it? I assume if there are PMBC questions on capital, we'd normally hand it over to you,
Yeah,
Steve.
I don't have any.
But,
Well, you know what? I'll defer that and I'll look at it to make sure that there's not something missing. in there.
okay, that's fine. But, if there are questions come up during the capital presentation, we'd probably hand it over to you.
Okay.
The financial articles, either Gary or I can handle unless there's somebody specifically wants any. Let's see, on the special, we've got the senior stabilization fund and this voter petition. Alan, are you going to talk to that, or do you?
I'll
are
be
you staying
speaking
out of
to
it?
Article 7.
Article 7, okay. Okay. So,
Is Article 7 even,
is it viable?
Is it legal?
I guess it's the question, I'm not sure, I've heard rumblings around town hall that the voter petition, even if it was voted through, holds no teeth because you can't define a property.
You can't define a property, but you can certainly, if we go forward, a lot of this depends on what happens in Article 6. But if we get to Article 7, if required, but not convinced it's required, but if required, we'll make a amendment so that it's
So that
so that
it would be.
it doesn't say DCU building, but says a building.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the only thing that I think, I don't think that, quote, that at the old DCU building legally holds water. And so
Well-
I think you've got to,
Even if it does, and I think it does, it satisfies the requirement of being legal as far as the article is concerned. But once you get ready to put an RFP out, then you have to go by a different set of general laws that says it has to be open to everybody who could meet the specification. So, one way or the other, it doesn't matter.
that's fine, I just,
Yeah.
make sure that
No,
all those
no.
ducks are in a row, that's all. Okay. All righty. Library building, let's see, annual town meeting, revolving funds is pretty basic, operating budget, we can handle debt exclusion, stabilization, water enterprise funds, Article 7. Article 8 is all the capital. Community preservation budget.
Yeah, I can do that if we have to, but I think
sorry?
I could do that if a question, but they're going to be able there to do it, so I don't really need to.
That's fine,
Right.
and if need be, we'll put you in. Okay. Personnel stabilization fund, again, is pretty basic. Capital stabilization, we don't have any. Trust fund grants, that's covered by the trustees. Veterans Work-Off Program is pretty straightforward. Chapter 90 is just the highway, Neshoba Tech Building Project. Now, I think Gary did anybody else go to the breakfast where they talked about that? It was, I think, our share, or if this goes through, they estimated it might like 40 or 50 grand.
yeah, I talked to
It's not-
Bonnie about it. She said it would be about 40 or 50.
So it's pretty small.
Yeah.
Yep.
That, maybe one of you that went or could
I
talk
think
to.
Gary was the only one.
Gary was, okay, so
Yeah.
we'll put Gary down for that. District voter petition, I can just state that we voted against it, rescind borrowing articles, it's authorization, that's pretty straightforward. Location, home rule position, that's selectmen. Borrowing authorization is compensating balance. I would think that close to half of these articles are going to be on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
So I don't think there'd be much there. So unless anybody has a burning desire to speak to any of these, I'm happy doing it, but give anybody a chance that wants to speak on them.
I'm just going to confirm the dollar amount for the PMBC. I just don't have that off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's fine. And I wasn't here for the presentation that Cindy gave on the housing trust.
She did a very good job.
And the only question I have at this point is, do they have policies and procedures in place? And where do they expect ongoing funding to come from? Those are the only two things.
Those are two questions that we asked of Cindy, and so far I haven't got an answer back.
Okay,
The
so
other
you- so
one,
you did bring that up.
the other one was, is it legal by state law to confine this support to Littleton residents, which is what they're planning to do?
Yep.
And I'm not sure that he could do that. So I asked him to check that out.
Okay, that's fine, but those would have been my only two concerns if, and then the third point I hadn't thought about, but that's also a good concern. So that the trust is there, and this is apparently a legal funding mechanism for it.
We're not the
But-
first town to do this. Other towns have this already, so.
And- But
Yep.
$500,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it disappears
Oh,
awfully
yeah.
quickly. And where is continuing funding going to come from? And that, we can go into that in the future with them, but would be my concern
Yeah,
going forward.
absolutely, certainly.
That's no small issue. That is not a small issue. When you get ready to put it together, something like this, that's going to be a support program, it's like Medicare, it's like Social Security. Once you start it, you can't stop it. And if you can't fund it,
Yep.
Yep. All right, so that's really all I had. We can just quickly go around the table for any other member input. Tom, anything? No? Nothing from PMDC or?
No,
Nope.
no.
Betsy?
No, I don't have anything for tonight. Mm-mm.
our committee to look at space needs, haven't met in so long. Nothing,
I understand they've organized or delegated a working group.
yeah, the working group has a working group. Oh.
Okay.
That's to cut down on the chatter around the table.
So, okay. All righty. I don't have minutes. Marilyn's not here. Some personal issues. And let's see, just so I can get the under on the
Yeah, you're gonna get
7:40. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good thing we don't get paid by the hour, huh?
Unanimous.